Hi, I'm GNT and today I'm going to take you through the push kick, also known as the Teep. This kick is great for defense as it helps keep your opponent at distance, but also offensively as well because you can advance safely with it and it helps set up combinations. Saying that though, if you do your push kick correctly and hit the right place, a push kick can cause significant damage by itself. Right, so let's break down the kick on the spot and then we can discuss footwork for different situations. When first attempting this kick, it is easier to perform it off the rear leg first. So from your stance, we have to shift the weight to the front foot and raise the knee whilst pushing the hips forwards. As we do this, the supporting foot turns out and the body leans back slightly so our head and chest stay out of range. This will also help us thrust the hip in more when we do the kick. The knee should be pointing up and wherever the front of the knee is pointing to, the foot will follow. For maximum efficiency with this kick, you want it to go directly forwards, so understanding this key point will help that and your accuracy for when you are targeting different areas. Try to stay in balance when lifting the leg and when doing the full move, but for now I recommend to just practice lifting up to the knee first and not to kick to see whether you are doing this efficiently. Remember, if you are not in good balance on the spot, when you have someone coming at you and you are leant too far back, you will lose your weight going into the kick and bounce off of them. And if you are leant too far forwards, you offer up your head and body more, and if you miss with the kick, you will lose your balance going forwards, which means you will struggle to follow up afterwards and leave yourself more vulnerable to a counter-attack. When you feel confident with lifting the leg in balance, add the kick. What you can see now is that the supporting foot pivots to the side more, and the hand of the same side that is kicking does a scissor motion to help drive the hips more forwards and thrust the kick in more. Some train the kick with keeping their arms up instead though, so it's down to preference and what you think feels best for you. Whatever you do choose to do with your hands, just make sure the hip of the kicking leg comes further forwards, as this will give you more power and reach than if the hip stayed square to the front. Try to point your foot whilst pulling your toes back so you strike with the ball of the foot. This will penetrate into the target when you thrust the kick in and cause more damage. You can use the flat of the foot for more surface area, but this cuts down reach and penetration, so it is more of a push than a damaging thrust. Also, you can use the heel, but this requires more flexibility and reduces your reach as well. When finishing the kick, try to drive through and land the kicking leg in front. You can also bring your leg back instead if you want to keep your distance, so again, it's down to preference and the situation. The main targets for the push kick are either side of the thighs in more of a downward motion to take the legs out, the lower abdomen, the solar plexus, either side of the shoulders, and to the chin or face in a slight upward motion. Remember, the higher you kick, the longer it takes, which means your opponent is more likely to defend against it and you are more vulnerable to it being caught. Saying that though, it can be quite effective if done efficiently, as a lot of people don't expect this kick to be delivered to the head. When doing this kick, some people exaggerate the chamber to offset the timing of their opponent, but if you want to do the kick quickly and land it more easily, then I advise you to go for the kick as you are lifting your knee. This is actually more difficult than it sounds, especially for beginners, but with experience of the kick, it will become more of one motion rather than stages, and you will get a lot of power, it will be faster than the other version, and you will still be able to keep your accuracy if you have trained it well. Some will say not to kick on the way up, but to lift the knee first so you can deliver the kick more head on, and it will be more effective. I do agree with this version as well, so my advice would be to learn all of the versions because they are effective in different situations. This kick off the lead leg, stick to the same pointers as before, but shift the weight onto the back leg instead. Off the spot push kicks are great to stop your opponent from coming forwards, to frustrate them by jamming them up, to keep the distance, or to create the distance if they are already in range. You can attack with this kick instead and add more momentum and effective mass though, by adding a step up, a skip, a switch, or a glide. There are many more, so when you are confident with the move, work on different footwork with a kick. This will help you become a more diverse fighter and help you perform the kick effectively in different situations. You can also disguise your footwork by throwing techniques like a jab, and when doing the movement, remember to drive your foot into the floor so it is explosive from the start and it will be more powerful. When attacking with this kick, if they are still in range, try to follow up with a combination afterwards to finish off your opponent. Also, slipping off or being brushed away is very common when doing this technique, so my advice for that is to train for those situations and that it can even sometimes work in your favour, because as your opponent is attacking, thinking you're at your most vulnerable, you can catch them off guard with a counter technique. I recommend a spin elbow, and if the range is there, a hammer fist or spin hook kick if you have the flexibility. Remember, even if you miss with that follow-up technique, it is more than likely going to get you back in balance and to a better position. This concludes my tutorial on the push kick. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on my other social media if you haven't already, and good luck with your training.